And finally, how does the EU help projects and organisations financially? Euranet UK's Jason Cook interviews Angeliki Stogia about the EU's 7-year cycle of funding.
Despite the fact that the UK has been part of the European Union via membership of the EEC for almost 40 years, there's still very little street-level knowledge as to how European funding helps organisations on a local level. To help demystify the process, I'm joined by Angeliki Stogia, the European Officer for Network for Europe, an organisation set up in 1986 to help third sector groups access European funding. So, Angeliki, in broad strokes, how does European Union funding actually work?
European funding goes in chunks of 7-year programming periods, and we are currently in the 2007 to 2013 programming periods. Right now, the priorities are being set by the Lisbon Agenda, which is like a big overarching European strategy for growth in Europe. And the funds are translated at the national and local level, where the stakeholders take action and translate the priorities. We have 2 main European funds that we work with as an organisation. The European Regional Development Fund is a fund that aims to support regional development through actions such as business innovation and support and regeneration. In short, the European Regional Development Fund finances direct aid to investments in companies, in particular small and medium enterprises, to create sustainable jobs. Funds also infrastructure which is linked to research and innovation, telecommunications or the environment, energy and transport, and also includes financial instruments, so for example capital risks funds and local development funds. The total Northwest ERDF allocation is £521 million. 213 million of it is specifically ring-fenced for Merseyside, as it has a special status in the programme, being the most deprived area in the northwest, and the rest, 308 million of ERDF, is available for the rest of the northwest in the programming period 2007 to 2030.
And what is the ESF?
Right, the European Social Fund is the People's Fund. The European Social Fund was initially set up to improve employment opportunities in the European Union and to help to raise the standards of living. The European Social Fund is for human resources and typically funds actions that will move people into jobs or, if they are already employed, move into better jobs. So it funds training for the unemployed and the employed, as well as early intervention, support and guidance. In England, there are 2 priorities for the European Social Fund, which is typically more accessed by voluntary and community sector organisations. One priority is for people who are unemployed and supports projects to improve the employability and the skills of people by tackling barriers to work, for example, for older people, people with disabilities, those with health conditions, lone parents, older workers, BME communities, and also projects to reduce the number of young people who are not in education, employment or training. The other priority deals with people who are already at work, and it supports projects to train people who don't have basic skills and qualifications which are needed in the workplace.
So, who actually decides where the money's going to be spent?
The budgets of structural funds and the rules for its use are jointly decided by the European Council. Europe sets its priorities in conjunction with the member states, and then we go down to the ministries which say what are the priorities for the current periods and for the specific sort of ministry in the next few years. This goes back to the Commission. The Commission says that's fine, it's okay, and then we have the operational programme where it says what is going to happen on the regional and on the local or the sub-regional level and what are the funding priorities are.
So what kinds of figures are we talking about then? What would be the minimum and maximum grants available and how would they differ?
Right, okay. As it stands, the minimum amount that an organisation can apply will be £12,000, and this is a programme which is called Community Learning Grants. It's made available by a grant coordinating body, which is an organisation called the Workers' Educational Association. And these funds are made available for local voluntary and community sector organisations. The next level up for a lead organisation is a contract of £500,000. There are, however, in between subcontracting opportunities for smaller or for larger local organizations who don't have the capacity to lead bigger contracts, because I appreciate that there are smaller organizations, medium-sized organizations, and there's a big leap between £12,000 to £500,000. My organisation plays this role where we're trying to engage voluntary sector organisations in the process of accessing European funds at whatever level is appropriate for organisations to be involved in.
Moving on to the future now, are the priorities of the EU 7-year programme likely to change for the next round of spending?
We have a new direction in European funding, a new European strategy for growth, which has ambitious targets for the next programme, which is the 2014 to 2020. We want Europe to become a smart, a sustainable and an inclusive economy with high levels of employment and productivity and social cohesion. There's lots of targets to be met on employment, on innovation, on education, social exclusion and climate, and also energy by 2020, and the structural funds are going to be underpinning all these policy areas. The member states are currently working to adapt their own national targets and indicators in all of these areas, and my organisation is busy trying to influence and also shape the agenda on how money will be spent in the future, and also making some sense out of it and trying to find the relevance at the local level to the local people in Manchester. First looking at what the priorities are and also at the local level, and then we will be working with stakeholders to put on proposals forward by which money will go out to the organisation. So trying to create a simpler and easier procedures for getting the money out, because I can appreciate that with European funding it is confusing and there are lots of levels of bureaucracy, because there are two actors involved. It's the European Union and it's also the member states. However, on a positive note, the voluntary and community sector is to play a greater role in the new programme, and it has been recognised as a full partner in the design and the implementation of the programme. There is also more emphasis on social enterprise, on social innovation, on community-led development, which is to be driven forward by local action groups, which are composed of representatives of local, public and also private social and economic interests. So there's plenty to look forward to.